Hello again. Well, it's vlog 101. I want to thank you so much for all the congratulations and questions on my previous vlog. And like I said last week, I didn't have enough time to answer all of your questions. And so the Q&A will be today. Now, the first question was, and I'll start in, it's not the order that the questions came in, but it's more of a chronological order because it made more sense. So one of the questions was, and Itzke and Claire asked these questions. I think there were a few other people who asked this, but they came in over so many different social medias I couldn't keep track. Itzke and Claire asked, I'd like to know how you got into miniatures and how did you get started in making and collecting miniatures? And Itzke also said, were you already collecting before you started making miniatures? Well, I've told this story before, but when my son was 3.5 years old, we went to the garden center and they had this huge Christmas display, and with houses and trains and things moving and everything, snow and and he absolutely loved it, and he wanted to have that too. And it was quite expensive, all these houses and all these little pieces, and I thought, well, I could make that myself. And I did. I came home and I made some houses and put a little train up for him. And when I needed some materials, I went to the local DIY shop. And the lady who owned that shop, she was into miniatures. And I knew, but I didn't quite understand what it was about. But she gave me a stack of magazines, Doll's House magazines, for inspiration. And, well, I started reading those, and, well, I was sold. I just thought it was so much fun and interesting. And so I bought my first Doll's House only, I think it was 2 months after. I think it was February. I looked it up in my little book, and here it says 2003, and I bought my canal house, the Doll's House. This was in February. 600 euros, quite expensive. But yeah, so it was just a shell that I bought, and this was in February. And then the next question was also by Itzke, and she asked me, did you start collecting miniatures before you started making them, or vice versa? And this was the first fair I went to. That was in March of 2003, and the first miniature I ever bought was the hot water kettle by Jens Torp. And there it is. I still have it. Of course I still have it, but I have it out here. This is it. It's a kettle on a stand, and I bought it because my grandparents used to have one of these, and I was always fascinated by it as a kid. I loved it. And so that's the burner. It also has a lid, but I keep it in the box because I don't want to lose it. So the burner and the kettle, and it has a swing lid, and of course a swing handle, and of course a lid comes off. So, but it's really pretty, and it's got little ivory handle and ivory feet. So that's my first ever miniature. So did I start collecting before I started making? Probably not, because in February I bought the canal house and I started making the first room, which was the dining room, where I have all the silver pieces. So that came first, but it's almost simultaneously, because this was in March. And my friend told me about the fair in Arnhem, so that's where I went. And there was one more thing I bought at the fair at that time. And it's the oval porcelain silver tray. Right here. There it is. Should take that off. There it is. Terry Curran made the tray itself, the porcelain tray with the Dutch landscape. It's also really, really pretty. And Jens made the silver frame and the ebony handles on it. Again, this is a piece, my grandparents had this full scale, of course, full sized. And I that's why I bought it. I saw it and I remembered it as a child. I saw this and I saw it at Jens's table and I loved it. So, yeah. So those were the two first pieces I ever bought. Yeah. Still love them. Now, the other question Claire asked was, did you have a childhood doll's house? And yes, I did. I had a Hafner and Kohlmann German doll's house. It was a plastic 60s type, bungalow type, this is the one, style doll's house. And it was fantastic. Unfortunately, the one we had was in my parents' attic for a long time. I remember it well. It just disappeared. We don't know where it went, but I managed to get this one, which is the same doll's house, but it has some broken bits and pieces, so I'll have to fix it. But I really like it and I want to restore it, and I already bought some miniatures for it. Again, the furniture we had with it, it's all disappeared, but I remember it well. So and I enjoyed the 60s styles, 60s, early 70s, I would say. So yeah, I have made a few vlogs where this appeared, and not disappeared, this appeared. And I bought some pieces for it. So, but I'll show it to you in the future as well. Now, Claire had another question, and she asked, is there a particular style of architecture or design you would like to represent in miniature that you haven't explored yet? Yeah, many. I would like to do more modern styles in interior design. So from mid-century till now, basically. I'd like to do that, but then more room boxes, not entire houses. And then Art Nouveau, sorry, Art Nouveau. Years ago, I talked about this with a good friend, and he sent me images from Art Nouveau houses, and I thought, oh, and I'd seen them because in Belgium they have a lot of them. In the Netherlands we don't have a lot of Art Nouveau, just a few houses, but not a lot. And fantastic. I'd love to do that. But making a whole house, then you'd have to carry that style all the way through the house, and that's a lot. And if you want to do it, you have to do it really, really well, because it will look terrible if you don't. Now, there is a Dutch woman, I should say, I was going to say girl, but a Dutch woman who is making one of those houses, a complete house, Art Nouveau house. And she is doing a wonderful job. She's doing it really, really well. Makes almost everything herself. I'll leave a link in the description for you to go and check that out. She's on Instagram. But I would not want to do an entire house myself. Again, if if I would do that, I would do a room box, not an entire house. And yeah, there's so many other periods in architecture or interior design that I enjoy. I like a lot, basically. So maybe something older, because usually I'm in the 18th century with my doll's house. Also modern. I mix and match, and I put my houses in the now, so I can basically do what I like. But yeah, maybe something like a 16th century room box or 17th century. Again, a room box, not in an entire house. I had a friend who did a wonderful house. And I do have some video footage of it, but it's really bad. I'll show it to you. It's really bad. I'm sorry about that. But this house, it's a weaver's cottage, and it's based on I think it's based on the story of the weaving of the unicorn tapestries. I think it was that. And she made this whole house. And it wasn't finished when she passed away. So, and it's not finished, but that was absolutely gorgeous. I would have loved to have that house and buy it from her. But I just don't have the room for it. But yeah, something 16th, 17th century maybe also. And then Kelly of An Apothecary's Corollary. I don't even know what that means. Well, an apothecary I know, but the rest I don't. She asked, and also Linda den Beste, she asked me on Facebook, basically the same question. What is your favorite piece and why? And Linda asked, what's your most beautiful, what do you think is your most beautiful miniature in your collection? That's a tough one. Really is. I have so many favorites. A lot of my silver pieces I absolutely adore. Well, I love silver. And then there's the blue and white porcelain. Some of the furniture. Yeah. That's a tough one. I have many favorites. That's the answer. I can't say which is the nicest one. Yeah. And then Helly Durans also asked me on Facebook, what is your favorite piece of your favorite tool, basically? I think there was someone else who asked me that. Well, I couldn't find if anyone else asked me that question, but you've seen my table saw last week. You've seen it on many of my videos. I would have to say that's my favorite to use, along with, I got it in my hand, my jewelry saw, or jeweler saw. I'll just put it here for a bit. This is a hand saw. Very fine blade. I use it a lot for the silver classes and working on silver, but also for wood. It's very versatile. Yeah, I like to use it for intricate shapes, and yeah, really like that. And of course, yeah, my table saw. Yeah, I love working with this one. Great tool. And I use it a lot. I think most of my projects involve some kind of cut on this machine. Yeah, love it. And Helly asked another question on Facebook. I couldn't find it in the comments, but I didn't take a note of it. And she asked, which, in Dutch, but translated, which miniature or part of one did you enjoy making most? And which one did you enjoy making least? And why? Well, I'll start with the one, or ones I should say, because it wasn't just one. And I think that was part of the problem. I enjoyed making the least, and it was these books for the library. It's not so much that I didn't enjoy making books, but there were so many of them. I needed so many, and it was getting so boring to make them. Um, if you've ever made books, you'll know. Some people enjoy it, but I don't like the repetitiveness of it. It's the same thing over and over and over and over again, and that just, yeah, no, it's not for me. Yeah, but anyway, the result is nice. It could do with a few more books, but yeah, I really like this library. Yeah, but making them was not so much fun. And while we're in the library, sorry about the reflection of the lights, one of the pieces I really enjoyed making was this bone chest. And that was a class, a Bill Robertson class. It has a working lock. I learned a lot in that class. That was really fun to do. And actually, there's several, and most of them were classes that I really, really enjoyed. So I'll show you the other ones. That basket was my very first silver smithing class with Jens Torp. I enjoyed that immensely. Again, learned a lot from that. This tray I made, well, that wasn't a class. I just made it myself with inlay work. But this was because I learned some inlay work in a class with Barry Hipwell. And then I made this after that class. I really enjoyed that as well. And then here are two pieces I really enjoyed making, and it's these two pieces and the one in the back there. And they were both pieces of furniture I made in classes by Jeff Wonnacott. And here, this one, the round one, has a drawer and some marquetry on top. And then the one in the front, in the back there, that beautiful chest of drawers. That one was in a class in Miniature in Tune, and that one was in a class near my home. And again, I love making those. But I guess it's the materials I like working with. I like working with wood, and I like working with silver. And I love both the materials, and so working with them again, yeah, that's my favorite thing to do, I guess. But it's hard to pick just one again, because I've done many classes in silver as well. Just most of them, almost all of them, I've enjoyed so much. So, yeah. And that nicely leads me into the next question, which was also on Facebook, and it was by Jack Galacchio. I think that's how you pronounce it. And he said, "Hello, Josje. Of all the classes and skills you have acquired over the years, which has or have been the most useful for your miniature artwork? And are there any you recommend more than others?" Well, again, that's a difficult question because it's hard to just pick one class or skill. But maybe one of them that was very instrumental in getting me, it was a big jump forward for me anyway. I was a scholarship student in Castine one year, and I took Mark Murphy's class, and we made this cabinet. And it taught me how to use machines, which until then I rarely did. I didn't have many. I think I had a small table saw, but that was probably about it. A Dremel, that kind of stuff, but nothing like the tools I have now. And they were basic cabinet making skills, which we did. And yeah, that taught me a lot. So that was, I would definitely recommend a class like this, or, anything that teaches you. Well, basically, what you should, what classes I would recommend, apart from classes that you would really enjoy, like I took I took a class, or two actually, classes in Miniature and Tune last year and the year before. And I took clay sculpting classes, polymer clay, which I don't like using clay, and that's why I took them. And I enjoyed it so much. I had so much fun. I really enjoyed it. So that's something. It's not always a class that you look forward to the most, or the material you like the most. But anyway, in this case, it was very, very helpful for me to go to the next step in making miniatures. And the other ones, of course, were my silver workshops. That's one of the pieces I made in a Jens Torp class. And a lot of fun, and I've learned a lot that night. It was tough, but I learned a lot. Here's some more. Here's another piece I made. I'll show you some more. That mirror I made, wax carving, was very interesting and a lot of fun. There's some more pieces I made in Jens Torp's classes. I just showed you this was it last week? 2 weeks ago. And this one as well. The little basket. And of course the book cover, silver book cover. That was a fantastic class. I loved that. Really enjoyed that. And I want to make another one. When I have time. It needs a polish, but a candlestick. That was so much fun. And this actually pushes up. That little lever goes up and pushes the candle out, or up anyway. Many techniques in that. And here, the tureen. That was very interesting. Turning in wax first, and then it was cast, and well, we had to finish it, putting the handles on, and yeah. So all of these classes, very, very, very useful. There's so many techniques you learn, sawing and soldering and designing, precision, polishing, filing, buffing. There's so much in there. Piercing, yeah. And a little punt. Jens is teaching in Miniature in June this summer. So if you want to join us, please do. It will be a lot of fun. And like I always say, you learn so much in these classes. So, yeah. So I hope that answers your question. I started saying that before. I think, what do I recommend most? That just depends on your level. I recommend taking a class which you may think it may be, because I thought it was going to be a little bit of a challenge, and it was. Because you have to learn something, you have to do something you've never done before. But the thing is, with these classes, the teachers are there to help you. If you get stuck, if you don't understand, you ask them, and they will guide you. They will help you along the way. And some need a little bit more help than others, but you learn, and that's the main thing. So, yeah, I love taking classes. So. The next question came from Marulio 2067, and it says, what is your favorite media to work with creating miniatures? You show so many diverse, beautiful items you have made. Well, I think after all that I've just said, it's not going to come as a surprise. I have two favorites. It's wood and silver. Those are my two favorite materials to work with. I do a lot of different, I work with a lot of different materials, also fabrics. I use a lot of fabrics. I enjoy that. Yeah, but yeah, wood. Wood is my favorite because I use it a lot. It's easy to work with. I think it's beautiful. I love the warmth and yeah, colors of wood, and of course silver. Yeah, well, that was a short answer. Very, very easy question for me to answer. And then Jane Chessel, 4198. Jane said, "Hi Josje, my question is, do you use a computer printer for some of your fabrics, or do you source them from miniature shows?" Well, that I just said I do work a little bit with fabrics. I buy a lot of fabrics, some of them at shows, but usually I buy them from regular fabric shops. I go to Amsterdam. They have a wonderful silk shops there. There used to be a fantastic quilt store in Utrecht city, in the center of the country. I didn't go there a lot, once every couple of years, but they had, I think she retired, so I don't think it's there anymore. But she had fantastic quilt fabrics. So I use a lot of quilting fabrics. I don't do a lot of online shopping for fabrics because I want to feel them. And I have to, yeah, want to feel the quality. I want to see the size of the print. Sometimes I do. But I used to buy my friend Trace used to sell fabrics at the fairs. And I bought some from there. And printing them myself, I have printed my own fabrics. And I'll show you there. This fabric, it's a silk. I've printed that myself. It's the wallpaper. I wanted to have fabric that the same fabric, and they didn't have it. It wasn't sold at that time. Nowadays you do get a lot more combinations like wallpaper and fabric, but that time they didn't have that. So I copied it on my computer and printed it myself. And this has been in here for, I would say 18 years maybe. And it's still good. Yeah, it's fine. I know some of the fabrics will fade quickly, but I've used, my old printer was very good, and it had, I used very good quality inks for that. My inks were from HP, very good quality, a little bit more expensive, but yeah. And I read a comment, and I can't remember where I read this, but it said there are inkjet printers using pigment ink and ones using dye ink. The pigment ink has superior UV resistance and lasts many years inside. The dye-based ones fade when exposed to UV light or sunlight. So, yeah, I suppose mine was very good. It must have been pigment ink, I think it was. So, and like I said, 18 years now, and it's still fine. It's not in direct sunlight though. Just in the summer, in the afternoon, it gets like a streak of sunlight now and then, but I have my drapes closed a lot of times. So there, I actually even have a tutorial about printing on fabrics, which I did. Let's see, when did I post that? That's years ago. It was one of my first videos. Let's see. Yeah, I have a tutorial which I posted March 4th, 2010. So 14 years ago. That was my first videos because it's in 2 parts. But it's still valid. I mean, it's still it works the same way. It has had 260,900 views. Yeah. Printing fabric on an inkjet printer. That's what it's called. And the next question came from Dorothy of Jojo's mum, Dorothy 2829. And she asked, what got you into minis? Well, that's the first part of the question. I've already answered that in the beginning. And do you do room boxes and join them? Or do you have a huge doll's house? Well, both, really. I'll show you. There we are. Maybe it's a bit dark because it's nighttime, but I have one huge doll's house. And like I showed you in the beginning, that's the one I bought. The first one I bought as a shell, and I made all the rooms in there. That's the one. It's a bit of a mess down there. I didn't even clean that up yet from last week. No, that was 2 weeks ago when I showed the collection. So that is the first doll's house, and that's just one big doll's house. Well, actually, I can take out most of the walls, but I don't want to do that now because it's a bit of a job. But most of it I can take out. But it's one big house. They're not separate room boxes joined together. So, is there glass here? Yeah. I took some of the glass out, but some of it still has glass. And the other house, I have several room boxes as well. And I'll show you the other house. So here's the other one. It's a big old mess, and I just put some lights on either side so you can see it a little bit better. But these are, let me try and get closer. These are all room boxes, and here you can see it really well. There's the separation between the two room boxes, and that gap is there because it has those sliding doors that slide in between. But so these are all separate room boxes, and the outside is not finished yet because I will do that once they're all ready, all finished, and I still have a lot to do. Working on this floor. This is the floor with the bedroom in there. There will be a bathroom back there. There's a couple of other rooms. But the outside is not finished yet. Still have lots and lots of work on this room, on this house to do. Kitchen. But this won't be finished until I've had all the room boxes done, and then I'll attach them to one another. See, here's the floor. They're not even stacked correctly, but it doesn't matter. They're all separate room boxes. Can I pull one? I'm afraid to. No, I'm not going to do it. They are actually just room boxes. But I'm afraid to drop something. And then when all the rooms are finished, I will create the outside, and it will have brick on the outside, and then I'll make a big house. And it's big. I mean, it's really, really big, this one. So that's the answer. There were a few more questions, but I have to look up some things before I can answer those questions. So that will be for next week. And I hope you enjoyed the Q&A. I did. It made me think of things. What was my favorite? And I didn't even mention the copper here, of course. I love that too. But that's it for today. Thank you for watching. Until next time.